Welcome back. Today we are working on the front shutters. I have the door side sanded and primed. As you can see, the green is the old color that I'm going to be removing. So I'm going to go through some steps on what you need to do. First off, let's just take a look at this disaster here. You can see we're going to have to fill that with some wood filler, which I have. The other thing you're gonna have to do is scrape this paint. We have a scraper for that. And then the last thing you're gonna want to do is sand it. A lot of these surfaces probably just need a sanding. We're gonna remove junk like this, fill it with caulk. Everything else looks pretty tight on it. So again, we're going to fill any holes, scrape and sand, and then we're gonna put an oil-based primer on, because oil-based primer is gonna hold much better to the wood. You're not going to get peeling in 3 years. You might get up to 10 years out of this. But you can see in this one, we're going to have to put some caulk in there, all weather caulk. So let's get started. Okay guys, we're going to start filling some holes here. It's a little sunny out, so it might be hard to see, but we are going to use this wood filler. And this hole actually is a little bigger than the recommendations, but we're going to give it a shot anyways, because we're going to be putting primer over it. It's going to be sealed very well. So make sure we get it in that hole nice and tight. The other thing is, this is very sandable wood filler. So in this case, you can see I'm putting it on pretty liberally, but that's because I know I can sand it. So that's gonna look fantastic when it's done. And this stuff dries real fast. The real shallow stuff can dry within 15 minutes. And the thicker stuff could take up to 4 to 6 hours. So the bottom is definitely gonna take a while. The hole needs to obviously be very clean. So once it's clean, again, just apply it. And don't be afraid to put it on liberally, because you can sand it so easily. So in this case, you can see I'm slightly proud of the surface, and that's okay, because this stuff does shrink a tiny bit. So you'll be able to sand it. It won't be so much sanding, because it's going to sit a little prouder because it does shrink. So once it shrinks, it's going to be easier to sand. We're ready to paint the shutters. They've been primed, sanded, and filled the best we could. Remember, this is outside. It's not going to be as nice as an inside surface. So just got the lows, got my paint, and we are going to go with black. So it's a satin finish. I could have went with a higher gloss, but satin has certain properties. I'm just going to dab it on here so you can see it go on. Just so you can see it go on. It's going to take at least 2 coats. It's a decent paint. It's definitely don't skimp on the paint. But anyways, it's a satin finish. So with satin finish, it holds its UV value a little better. This is Valspar Exterior Seasonal Plus. So it's not the best one, but it's a really good one. You definitely don't want to go with the 2 lower grades. Go with at least a medium to a higher grade. It's gonna work a lot better. All right guys, a few more tips. Make sure you tape off any sides you don't want painted. In this case, I had a little bit of a tougher decision because this is actually close to the concrete. It's more of a caulk line, but I wanted to, I don't want to leave this half green, half white, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint it black. The other thing is I ran the tape along this edge so I get a nice straight line. So a couple real quick tips about painting. Just dip your brush in about that much. You don't want to get too much paint on it. And when you do the verticals, go up and down. Don't go sideways because that's going to look like not good. You want to go with the grain of the wood. So in this case, we're going to go up and down. I'm just doing a quick demo here. I'm going to come back and touch that up. And then when you do the sides, you want to go back and forth. So again, I am just doing a quick job here, but I'll touch that up. But you want to go with the grain, and that is how you do it. You want to try to get enough paint on the wood to cover it like I'm doing here. You do not want to goop it on. You don't want to go take your brush, get a big goop and slap it on like that. It's going to get drips and it's not going to adhere properly. It's going to have too much paint there. So you want to just have the right amount of paint on it. Sorry about that. And then the other thing you don't want to do is go back and go up and down and think you're doing better by painting it 100 times. You want to stroke it a couple times, nice and smooth, and leave it. Don't go back and forth and disrupt the paint as it settles, because the paint, when you put it on in the right amount, the paint actually will cover up the brush marks as it kind of expands into the grooves and stuff. So that's another tip. This is in the basement. You can see the water was coming in from the outside, basically coming down the wall onto the floor. And then if I go to the other side of the wall, it was coming to the drain. It kind of, it's not mold or anything, but it definitely screwed up the drywall. Okay, we're gonna finish up our second coat here. Really want to make sure you get these bottom edges really good, because that's where a lot of the moisture is going to collect. So sometimes you just got to try to jam it in there a little bit, and then if possible you can go back and re-caulk. But let me let this dry. I'll peel the tape off and we can take a look. Okay, second coat is done. 2 coats is more than enough. This was high quality paint, so I'm gonna start peeling the tape off. See what kind of line we get. Usually it doesn't bleed through, and such is the case here. It's a real nice sharp line. So my only issue is whoever painted the green paint got a little bit over the edge, and there's really nothing I can do about that. Like in this case, I might go back and try to touch that up, but once you step back a little bit, and considering you're usually looking from the street, you're not really going to see that green paint. And also, I don't want to take a chance of getting it on the brick. Same here. It's sharp enough. No one's ever going to look this closely at it. But you can see these are 60-year-old shutters, so there's several coats of paint on them. This is a real thick, nice black coat of paint, so we're not going to have a problem with that. But if you ever wanted to get down to the very bottom, it's going to take you hours. You're better off just buying all new shingles. But when I step back, you're going to see that that extra paint that you see is not even visible from 5 feet away like we are right now. But here's a final shot of the front, and it definitely looks sharp.